ada 24 orang, akhirnya yang diundang pada hari ini adalah 21 orang. Kemudian kita juga mempunyai 18 peserta tambahan. Seluruh peserta tersebut berasal dari 11 institusi yang tergabung dalam Binari Sport. So first of all, I would like to introduce, beside me is Dr. Lori Dodd from the USNIA. So we together with all the other teams prepare for all the agenda and all the material. Maybe first of all, maybe you can introduce yourself.
Hi, can you hear me okay? I'm Lori Dodd. I am a PhD in biostatistics, and I worked at the National Cancer Institute at the NIH for 7 years, and then joined the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases in 2008, joining my colleagues Martha Nason, Dr. Martha Nason, and Dr. Michael Fay. So this is Martha. Would you stand? She's a biostatistician as well. And Dr. Michael Fay also is a biostatistician. And we spent a lot of time discussing what we thought should be included in this program. I also work with Dr. Michael Kosasih from the Collaborative Clinical Research Branch. Some of you, I think, may recognize him. And then Dr. Nancy Touchette from NIH as well as our, I like to say she does a little bit of everything. I call her an expert, but she doesn't like that term in terms of writing. So she's here to really help. She's going to give a lot of talks on writing, and she will be meeting with you if you want assistance with writing. She's here. We will send around a sign-up sheet for you to have a 30-minute session with her. So please take advantage of her presence here and her knowledge. Dr. Mike Kosasih, when he's not leading his manuscript writing group, will also be available.
And now I would like to introduce the Indonesian mentors. So we have Professor Emiliana Sista, and we have Professor Inge Sutanto, Professor Abu Talib, and Dr. Anand Joshi. We also have Gina Samaan. She's not here yet. I think she will come in the later time. Okay, Lori and I would like to describe our activities for this week. Lori, you can.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So Dr. August Salim is another biostatistician from La Trobe University. So we're very, very grateful that you could come this week. So could we move to the next slide, please? So writing, I want to give just, Nancy's going to discuss this a lot, but if you could flip through, I don't know if we have so this is a quote from a French early 20th century scientist who wrote about writing and science. To get to know, to discover, to publish, that is the destiny of a scientist. Now, me personally, I really enjoy getting to know and getting to discover. And sometimes writing is the hardest part and the least interesting part because you know it. You know the story by then. It's sort of like figuring out how the pieces of a puzzle go together, but not actually taking the time and effort to put the puzzle together. But it is important for us to put those pieces of the puzzle together to actually publish, because otherwise we don't move science forward. The theme for the week, which I hope if you could scroll down, is really to get a clear main message that's supported by your data. And then also a clear statement about why this is important. How does this advance our scientific knowledge? What should change as a result of this work? So for example, what are the public health implications of your study? This should be clearly stated in the manuscript. If we move to the next slide.
So for the objective of the workshop, ideally, yeah. Ideally, we hope that by the end of the workshop, we will have several authors, maybe have a draft with an appropriate length, approximately 2,500 words and several tables. But I think maybe there are several authors, maybe we'll write shorter than 2,500, so that depends on the topics. And I believe most of us are coming from research institution, so it will not be your first manuscript. So maybe this can be also used as a template for your future research. And we also will provide the material from this workshop for you, maybe to disseminate or to share with your colleagues in your institution. So maybe you can teach other people, other researchers, and that's maybe we can enhance the publication from Indonesia. Also, at the end of the workshop, we will have a peer review, so everybody will have an experience to read other people manuscript and review it. And for this, we will provide 2 weeks for you, and then we'll return the review to us, and after we receive your review, and then we will send your certificate of completion. And after the workshop, don't worry that we will always contact you, we will always email you, we will always call you for your progress. So, okay. And of course, because our goal is for you to have your first author publication.
Next slide. So that was the ideal, and the practical is that we hope that you have what we're referring to as a zero draft, which is something that is ready for co-author additions and revisions with bullet points where writing is needed. Really identifying the message of your paper is a very important goal of this week. And have about 4 tables and figures, really a sketch of what the data story should be. I hope that we're able to complete all these tables and figures, but I recognize that many of you may be waiting on other data. At least I know 1 or 2 authors who are waiting on other data to come in, but let's get as close to that goal as possible. On the last day, we would like for you to develop a timeline for submission in your manuscript writing group, so that we know the steps and have an idea of how things should move along time-wise. And then finally, identification of the key message. So if we move to the next slide to go through the week's schedule in brief. So days 1 and 2, we will have lectures during the day until usually around 4 o'clock. These lectures will be a combination of writing, anatomy of a paper, how to tell the scientific story. There will be also some statistics. I recognize that many of you have had statistics before, but because statistics is fundamental to interpreting the quality of your research, we have a series of lectures on statistics. We also have some lectures on study design and some lectures on the editing process. So Dr. Mike Paulus, who serves as an editor for journals, he's going to give you his perspective on how to write manuscripts and also how to submit them and how to respond to reviews. So those will be the main topics during days 1 and 2, and then in the afternoons, late afternoons, we'll have, for those of you who are authors, as a part of this workshop, we will break into the manuscript writing groups. On days 3 and 4, we will primarily have the manuscript writing group sessions to focus the writing tasks. Each of these days, days 1, 2, 3, and 4, you will have homework assignments that we expect you to turn in by 8 p.m. that evening. We have prizes for those of you who turn in all of your assignments during the week. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but we do have a prize if you get them all in. And on the 4th day, the draft manuscript will be due. So we want whatever you can complete by Thursday. This will be the manuscript that you will expect your peers in your manuscript writing groups to review. So be aware of that. Make it as good as it can get, because that's what people are going to review. And on day 4, the plenary talk is due. We're asking all the authors to give a 5-minute presentation. On your thumb drive, there is a template of the 5 slides that we're expecting you to prepare. If you want to, I would suggest you look at those today. If you have questions, please come talk to us and we can start the process of getting those slides put together. On Friday, you will give a 5-minute presentation. We will stick to 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes. We will cut you off if you go over 5 minutes and 1 second. And then we will have 5 minutes for questions. And then finally, we plan to have post-workshop activities. So there will be the peer review, as we've indicated. And we have all committed to assist you mentor you through the process. So let's go to the next slide.
So as we know, there are 5 writing groups: the arbovirus group, malaria group, HIV/TB, influenza, and Miscellaneous for other infections. So later in the late afternoon, and in the evening, and also on day 3, 4, and 5, we will be grouped in a small group. So we will have 5 rooms. 1 room is here, maybe for malaria, because malaria has 5 authors and also 4 mentors. And so maybe they need a bigger group, a bigger room. And then there are 2 rooms in the 4th floor and 2 rooms at the ground floor. So we will discuss later which group goes to the 4th floor and which group goes to the ground floor. So in each group, we have 1 mentor, 1 statistician, and also we will have 1 from the secretariat. So feel free we are ready to help you.
So just quickly, the day 1, all the assignments are in your schedule. Day 1, the assignment is to come to write your main message. Day 2, table and figure titles. Day 3, to create tables and figures. And day 4, then, as I've said, the slides for your Friday plenary are due and the draft manuscript is due. Day 5, we expect you to write your timeline for submission and then give your plenary session. So finally, we want you to succeed. We're here because you were chosen. We have confidence in you, and we want to see you succeed. We want to see your manuscripts published. And we've committed to working with you through the entire process, including submission and responding to reviews. So it is a great honor for us to be here with you. I can say that from all of our NIH colleagues. We are delighted to be here. We are delighted to establish new collaborative relationships, and we're looking forward to a great future working together. So thank you.